It's not very often that I come across places in the Charleston area that I've never seen before, and yesterday was one of those days. Well, not technically. I mean, I did see something new, but it wasn't really in Charleston. It was just a little bit south of here. Definitely an interesting day. If you want to see what the deep south looks like, or if you're ever just curious about what's below Charleston when you're coming down our coast, join me and my friend Brad and we'll show you. Let's get started. Hello there, I'm Nat Wallen. I am a real estate agent here in Charleston, South Carolina, and we make videos on this channel to help you understand what it's like living here. And you don't have to be buying a house to enjoy this channel because, well, it's more about living in Charleston. And with that said, please do subscribe and click the bell so you can catch the next video. All right. This past Friday, I had some clients come in from out of town and they were looking for a property in a very quiet area, and we began to set our sights on properties within 75 miles of Charleston. So we went to see a home here in Santee, which was about an hour away. Now, kind of interesting up there. I've been many times before, and well, if you like lake living, Santee is something to consider. Now, in my mind, the next day was better because I was able to see something new, and I thought it was just so interesting traveling these southern roads that I invited my friend Brad. He's from Utah. He just moved here. So we took a little trip to check it out, and we had some good conversations. I was hoping for a warmer day. We'll make do.
I'm going to pick up Brad. He wants to see a property in Green Pond, South Carolina. So I've been there one time. Hopefully we'll see some sun today. So what's your experience been so far with just being in the South? Like, you know, is it what you expected, or?
For the most part, yes. The people are much more inviting, friendly, courteous. That would be the biggest difference for me, is just the people are just overall friendly.
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest change and thing for us to get used to is the humidity and the heat in the summer.
Yeah.
Now, there's this one place on Highway 17 South that my family and I always comment on. It's this little bridge over the Ashepoo River. And this goes back to the early 1990s. I had taken a semester off of college, and I actually moved to Hawaii, and I went surfing over there. And before I went, I decided to get certified to scuba dive. And I found an instructor, and we proceeded to dive in a swimming pool, and then a shallow spring-fed lake. And then my third dive was right here.
You want to see where I learned how to scuba dive?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my places that I got certified. One of the dives.
Is it a pool or a spring?
No, I went right underneath that bridge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss scuba diving.
Now, being a new scuba diver, it was kind of crazy because, as you can see, the water is very dark here. And reason being is that, well, all of these rivers, they start way, way inland. And sometimes they're as far away as the creek beds of the Blue Ridge Mountains, or maybe even farther than that. And then they travel down to the ocean here, and they pick up a lot of silt along the way. And, well, that's why we don't have clear water here in Charleston. And you may want to fact check me on that. I'm just picking information that I think I remember correctly from college, and that was a long time ago. Anyway, I dove underneath this bridge and couldn't see 6 inches in front of my face. And when I got down to the bottom, which was probably 15 feet deep, there were hundreds of bottles scattered all around the bridge. And so every time my family and I are on a trip, when we cross over this bridge, we all say this is where I learned to scuba dive. So let's keep heading south. Now, right here is where you'd veer off to the left to go toward Edisto, which is a really quiet and undisturbed beach community with lots of inland waterways. It's our next beach down from Kiowa Island. And we're going to keep heading south on 17 here, but real quick, Edisto is maybe 25 minutes down Highway 74 here. And, well, you'll know you're getting close when you cross over this bridge. And then there's another short stretch, maybe 10 minutes to get to the beach. It's really beautiful. And on that note, this is about where the Ace Basin begins. And the Ace Basin is 350,000 acres of preserved wetlands, and it's one of the largest undeveloped estuaries along the Atlantic coast. And Ace stands for the Ashepoo, the Combahee, and the South Edisto rivers. So if you continue down 17 for another 20 minutes, you'll get to what's called the Ace Basin Parkway, which is a section of Highway 17 South that has these beautiful marsh vistas to the left and to the right. So turning left on Bennett Point Road will take you toward this really quiet little fishing and oystering community, which we'll get to shortly. Now, in the late 70s and 80s, development was starting to pressure the area, and in 1988, a group of concerned citizens and advocacy groups formed the Ace Basin Task Force. So this later formed into the Ace Basin Project, which included the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, the Nature Conservancy, Ducks Unlimited, and some other groups getting together to protect this land. In fact, Ted Turner, who founded CNN, was also a big proponent. So the result is this beautiful and unspoiled place that very few people in Charleston experience. It took us about an hour to get down there from West Ashley, and as you can see, even though it's wintertime here, the place is just stunning. Now, I plan to go back in the summertime when the marsh turns apple green, and while my buddy Brad here, he likes to paramotor, and will likely come back and make another video. In fact, if you haven't seen the most recent upload, take a look at it here when this one's done. It was really cool to experience that with him. So we stopped a few times along the way to enjoy the sights, and even though it was pretty cold here, and when I say cold, I mean 50-ish. That's about what you can expect on a cold winter day. Maybe it was the high 40s. Anyway, these are the views that made me decide to come back with Brad. Check this out. Okay, before we go further, let me just share with you a little bit of the behind the scenes with this video. As you know, I came out here with Brad a few days ago, and it was a pretty cold day. It was in the high 40s, really gray, which I think makes for an interesting look at wintertime here. I was kind of liking the way it's been turning out so far. But when I shot the last part, I messed up the footage. It was completely unsalvageable. Let me show it to you here. So I was shooting on what's called D-Log, which gives you more control over the color and the footage in general. And in this case, the white balance was off, and like I said, I just couldn't salvage it in the edit. So this morning it was raining here in Charleston, which was perfect because I could go back out and make everything match up. But I had to show two homes in Mount Pleasant. Here they are right here. This one is on a spring-fed lake. Really interesting. And then this one was actually in a neighborhood I used to live in back in the 1980s. Let me show you. So I had to do that, and I was rushing to get back down there to catch the rainy weather. But by the time I got here for the reshoot, it was nice and sunny. Let me show you. See, the weather magically improved. And that actually happens a lot here, especially in the summertime. We get thunder showers all the time in the afternoon, and I'll make videos about that in a few months. Okay. Enough explaining. Let's get back to the story, but we'll just do it on a much sunnier day. So Bennett's Point Road, it felt like it was maybe a 20-minute ride from 17, and it ends at this little creekside community here called The Retreat. And it looks like there's a company that oysters out of here, and shrimping is also big here in the South. I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like. Here we go. Okay, so we stayed for about a half hour and I showed Brad the house that I had shown a few days prior. And well, these elevated homes, they're fairly prevalent with houses close to the coast. And well, they're designed with what are called breakaway walls. So this bottom level here, it has these louvered walls, which are meant to break away if there's ever rushing water or a flood. And flooding is a pretty big misconception here. Even though flood insurance is necessary in about 70% of Charleston County, that doesn't mean that we deal with flash floods all the time. In 2015, we had what was called our 1,000-year storm. So we got 24 inches of rain in a weekend, which was crazy. That's about as much rain as we get in a year. And this was, of course, good and bad. The bad was that the water table filled up, and there were people in lower areas that had water bubble up from the ground. And in some cases, not that many, but in some cases, houses were flooded. Now, I have some friends who had ductwork in their crawl space ruined as a result. Now, the good part is that it let me and my team know where these low areas are. So if you decide that you need our help, we'll certainly discuss these things if flooding is a concern of yours. And one more thing on flood insurance. I've been here my whole life and I've seen many hurricanes. The only one that stands out as anything that I would ever worry about again was Hurricane Hugo in 1989. Not to say that hurricanes can't happen in the future, but the only parts of Charleston that really flood on a semi-regular basis is downtown. So if you Google flooding in Charleston, it will look scary, but it's really not. Anyways, as we were leaving, I saw this one lone tree out in the marsh. Let me show you here. So I saw this one lone oak tree, and I just thought it was so interesting, like it had its own little story to tell. And when I got close to it, I actually saw a bald eagle perched up on the top. In fact, I saw 4 or 5 eagles in the A's Basin that day. And please know, I don't like to get close or interfere with wildlife when I see them. I try and keep a safe distance. And like I said, we saw several eagles, which I haven't seen really only once or twice closer to town, but they seem really prevalent out here. And I can see why. Plenty of food, not much interruption from humans. Well, I guess I'm interrupting, but I always keep my distance when I'm flying, and it was a good day. And you know, I sometimes fantasize that I'm new to the area and I try to picture it through my customer's eyes, something brand new, but it's impossible to do when it's your home. And taking this little trip with Brad, it was great because it was all new to both of us. So this is the Deep South. It's very quiet. It's filled with wildlife. We actually saw a cougar in someone's side yard right before we got to the retreat here in Green Pond. So if you already live here and you haven't ventured out, there's lots to see and do and experience. And of course, lots of people come here. And that's why I like having this channel. It helps me introduce you to Charleston. And if you're considering a move, I'm hoping you'll make good, confident decisions along the way. And with that said, if you haven't seen the Not on YouTube tour, let me show you where to find it on my site. This is natwallen.com. And on pretty much every banner on this website where there's an image, you'll see this Not on YouTube tour link. So just open this up. And we decided not to put it on YouTube because it's almost 2 hours long and we really just like to provide it upon request. So if you follow these prompts and answer a few quick questions, we'll send it out right away. Thanks so much for joining me, and I appreciate you subscribing if you feel the video earned your subscription. So check out the next video to see Brad paramotoring on Kiowa. I'll plug it up right here. It shows off a part of Charleston a little bit closer to town, and it was really fun to make. And if you subscribe, click the bell so I can see you in the next video. And thanks for being here. So let me play you a little footage of Brad here so you can decide if you want to see him paramotoring in the next video. All right, thanks for watching.